شورش یه نفر جورجی یه نفر این جینه چلی جینه رو کنه خرمی جور
Oh man, that's way to bring the tears off the top there, Greg. Jeez.
Really, is that how it works?
ای بغل نیستیم نگر کنی او که رسن میکنه
Welcome to Brothers and Booze. Doug, have you ever lost your dog?
I have not, fortunately. We used to have a dog when I was
whole life.
No, we had one dog that when I was a kid, and I was 8 when we got him, and I got the name, and I named him Kip for some reason. I was 8. Who gives a shit? But he used to do these things that he would go, and we'd let him out, and he would go and do his business and go pee and poop and come back in. And he would do these things where he would just leave and come back like a day later, and just. We think he was out prowling for some feminine companionship. So
sure.
Yeah, we never actually like lost a dog where we couldn't find them. No, I've never had that happen. So fortunately, anyhow.
No, and a lot of these situations too, we see like people coming home from the military.
Oh yeah, those always.
You know what I mean, right? Or like especially
right in the heart, man.
Right. I mean, yeah. So how you been, Doug? It's been 2 days since I've seen you. It's been a crazy last week. So I'm starting with a fantastic, wonderfully made Belgian IPA from our friends here at Youngblood Beer.
Youngblood, baby. Nice.
Yes. Very, very good. I had this at I was at the tap room recently. Yes, I was at a tap room.
Look at you.
I know we're baby steps, man. Baby steps.
I know.
This is a horribly poured beer in a badly clean glass for our wonderful beer expert we have.
Yeah, this is gonna be great. Hey, man, never mind our pours at our beer glasses. We're just
right. Well, luckily he's a nice guy and he's not going to kill us for this. But
we hope
he should. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, totally ridiculous. But I'm going to try it. So I know you're a Belgian guy, and I know you don't really consider yourself much of an IPA guy, but I think I'm going to be able to send you one of these, and I think you're going to like it because the Belgian yeast, you know what I mean? Like, in these good ones, you've had a Belgian IPA where the good ones.
Yeah, I actually don't mind Belgian IPAs at all because you get the Belgian flavors with the IPA and it kind of balances itself out. So yeah.
Well, I don't have to tell you. You just told me. What's going on with your glass? In your glass, this is refreshing, great, lovely, wonderful summer beer.
Excellent. So I'm going to start with something where I got this in Vermont, and I got it because of the label for one, and the name, Grumpy Wench.
Vermont, you said?
This is when we were on vacation in Vermont. I found this in Vermont. It's from Foley Brothers Brewing, which does a metric ton of IPAs. The only beers I've ever seen from Foley Brothers have always been IPAs. Those are the hazy IPA, 6.6% ABV. I am not generally a huge fan of the hazy ones, but I had to get it because of the name and the Victorian decor on the can. So
I was going to call them an IPA house, but that would be unfair without going to their place and looking at it.
I've never been. But
you can say that their IPAs make distribution, is what you can say.
Yeah. Also a terrible pour.
Great.
Keeping it consistent.
Right.
Very citrusy on the nose. And it's got the classic hazy things. It's straightforward, nothing remarkable, but nothing bad either. Just like literally just like a straight up hazy IPA. And definitely, if you're going to drink it, it's definitely, like you said, with the Belgian, you had like a summer style beer. So cheers.
Yeah, these hazies are kind of tailing off, in my opinion. What I mean by that, they're not, it seems like they're making them less strong. But we're going to ask our guests in a second about hazy IPA and all that other things. Oh, well, let me see that again.
It was 6.6, so that's actually fairly high for a hazy, isn't it? Maybe.
6.6 seems a little bit low to me.
For me, that's very low because I like them like fucking give me the rocket fuel, baby.
But not many IPAs. Well, I won't say not many, but again, I love this one because it has this yellow hue to it, almost like a lower level orange. It's really fantastic. Love it. So this has been the week of big authors on our wonderful brothers and booze. On Wednesday we had Chuck Wendick, who was fantastic and fun. But he's a different genre than we're about to talk to. Again, this is the first time I met him, but I still consider him a friend because when you come on this stream, I consider you a friend. I don't know you. And then if you come anywhere near me, I'm going to start bugging you if I go anywhere near you. But our author he's the author of this wonderful book. Oh, yes. We're going to give away one of these or any book that's in Jeff's bibliography. I asked him what that was. I called it a discography before, Doug, but I
know you did, and I didn't want to correct you.
Well, he knew what I meant, though. That's all that matters, right, Mo?
Yeah,
so anyway,
yes.
Right. But I'm with all due respect, though, Doug, I kind of feel intimidated around you authors because y'all know your way around words, and even if an editor is the ultimately person who tells you that you guys are right or wrong, y'all know a way around your words. So I feel kind of intimidated. Sometimes I wasn't the best in English, and I mash all that stuff up. But Jeff wrote this fantastic book that brought me into the craft beer industry, the Beer Bible. It has history. It has the styles. It just has old school writing. I mean, it's just something that you can just jump into. Brewing notes on every style that makes, not every style, but every style that is any kind of style, if that makes sense to you. Lagers, ales. I mean, it's just everything's in this book. This book came out. I don't know. I guess I should get Jeff one and he can tell us. Point is, it's the second edition of this book's coming out. I believe he's gonna tell us September. Yeah. So we're gonna give away. I don't have any of the details. If you hashtag Beervana on any of your comments, y'all, you will be entered to win any book that Jeff has written. I prefer this one. This one, I'm telling you should get if you want to know anything about beer. But if not, we can send you to Widmer Way. He also has another 2 or 3 of them. Fantastic beer writer. On point. He has
cider writer too, I believe, right?
Cider? I'm not even sure about that. But I do know his podcast is amazing. Beervana podcast. You could probably find that on anywhere. Stitcher. iTunes. I find it on Google
all the usual suspects.
Absolutely. But after all that, Doug, the reason that I have him here, the reason that I reached out to him is because he came out with a diversity database for brewers. So we were going to get into that too, because there was only one out there before Jeff delved into this. So we're going to get into that too. So without further ado, I hope I gave the man the best introduction that I can as a fanboy without going too crazy. But here is Jeff Alworth. What's up,
guys.
Jeff?
Hey, Jeff. Welcome.
That was quite an introduction. Thank you.
Well, cheers. And you deserve it, man. You put a lot of hard work, clearly, into all of that. And what do you have in your glass is what I want to first ask.
Well, in honor of you, I have a porter.
Yay!
So,
look at that glass. Look
good
at
word.
that.
Okay,
Sorry.
that artwork is superb. I love that.
Sorry.
No.
My thing is kind of backwards there. There we go.
Oh, English style porter too.
And 4%. I love it.
Yeah, it's a little guy. So Good Word in I guess near Atlanta sent me some beer, and they do classic styles. And I've got another one here that I'll drink after this, which is an English mild. So
ooh, man, don't see a lot of those.
I know.
Yes.
I'd love to see more of those. I just it's a rarity for me to find any of those.
They're incredibly rare. And then I don't know. I'm also wearing my Wisconsin Badgers hat because I went to grad school at Madison.
Yes,
So
he did.
yeah,
Yes, he did.
spent a little time in Madison.
Absolutely. So what was that, Beervana? Yes, JHG. Hashtag Beervana. That means I'll be able to find you. So just put that on any of your comments. Cool. Jeff, do you have any tasty notes on that one? Is it over roasty, or is it as light as the ABV suggests it is, drinking wise?
Yeah, it's well made. It would be a little bit fuller on cask, I think, but even in the can, it's quite nice. They've managed to get a fair amount of body in it for as light as it is. So it drinks like a full porter, and it is roasty, but it's got a little bit of kind of sweet kind of cola quality in there too. So it's very sessionable, a really nice beer.
Excellent. So Jeff, I gave you an introduction. I would like to hear if there's anything I missed there or anything else that you would like to say before we get into this.
No, you did a fantastic job. I can clarify the thing about cider. I have written about cider. I wrote a cider book, but unfortunately, cider kind of flopped. And so, as a writer, there are less opportunities to write about. There's not as many readers, but I got to write a book about it and do a little traveling and learn a whole lot about cider, and that was super cool. And I wish it was more popular so I could write about it more. But anyway.
I will say in upstate New York where I am, there's a boatload of cideries, a boatload of them, because the Finger Lakes and all that, we have a lot of apples to use. And referencing back our Gus Wednesday, where he was talking about heirloom apples and like what's the kind of apple you use for that kind of stuff, because it's not the same kind of thing depending on what kind of apple. So like when you're talking, so you just got to go and explore different cideries, like what? Like I haven't had an opportunity to read your book on that, but like, what was a big lesson you learned out of that? Like, because making cider is way different than making beer, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I wrote it a little bit like I wrote the beer Bible. I looked for the national traditions where the kind of source styles come from, and so I went to Normandy in the Basque Country and England, and then I went to your neck of the woods, a little east of you in New Hampshire. New York, New Hampshire, New England is kind of the ground zero for the craft cider movement. I checked out what people were doing, and I think the thing that I learned in Europe was mostly it's naturally fermented. So it's farmers, right? So they get their cider apples out of the orchard, they press them, and then they just throw them in sometimes a grungy plastic container, sometimes barrels, whatever they have, and just let them sit there over winter. They don't add yeast. They don't do anything else. They just they press the apples, and then they let nature take its course, and they get incredible complexity out of them. And it's not something Americans really do. We have a much more wine approach where people are really focused on varietals, and they use more neutral yeasts, but that's not how they do it in Europe. And so that was fun. That was really cool. I fell in love with those ciders, especially I think the Normandy ciders were the ones I liked the best.
So you are from Portland, or you are in Portland now. I'm not sure if you're from there, but that's how I know you. So the cider thing has tailed off there, and seltzers have been accelerating, right? Are you seeing that over there too?
Yeah, we are. I mean, ciders are actually doing pretty well here. So upper Midwest, New York, New England, and the Pacific Northwest, I think, are the three regions where craft cider is actually doing pretty well, pretty healthy, and the rest of the country not so much. So where cider apples grow, right? So it kind of makes sense that apple country is where you have ciders. We do have some local companies making seltzers, but beer is still pretty big here. I bet it's the same in Wisconsin, where you have kind of a tradition of drinking beer. It's a little stickier than it may be in other places. So yeah, we see some cider, and there's some breweries who are making some cider, but I would say it's probably a bigger phenomenon elsewhere. I'm sorry, seltzer.
Okay.
Hey, so I have a question regarding that. Like when you were in Europe for the cider stuff. So where I work, we have like one derivative of us that is in London, and the guy who comes from London who talked to us, who is gregarious as hell, said I mentioned something about getting a pear cider, and he goes, "That's not a cider. Cider has to have apples." Is that kind of the prevalent way of looking at it in Europe versus like here, where we have pear ciders, we have all different kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's so in both England and Normandy, there is a drink in England they call it perry, and in France they call it poiré, which is cider that is entirely made out of pear. So it's not flavored with pear, but it's made out of pear. And there are pears that are just like there are cider apples. There are perry pears or poiré pears. So they're very tannic, very. They're not eating apples. They're weird. Just like the cider apples, they don't look so great. They have funny names, and they make a really interesting beverage, and they're actually a lot harder to work with than apples. The trees take a lot longer to go, so it's a much bigger commitment. But the interesting thing is there's a compound called sorbitol that's in pears, which is an unfermentable sugar, and so it gives perry or poiré a fuller, sweeter palate, and it's when the cider maker can make it well, it's pretty extraordinary.
All right, sorry to sidetrack from all the beer talk and go to ciders.
It's all good.
Greg, you're muted. Greg, you are muted.
Just give me a second to get to the thing, man. I don't want my.
I'm sorry for the cider talk. It was just fascinating. I'll shut up.
No. And again, it's clearly up Jeff's, highway, so we should talk about it. But I want to talk about this. Jeff, where did the origin of this come from, and how long did this take? Forever, I'm sure. And talk about the second one coming up.
Yeah. I was working a regular job, but writing about beer. And 10 years ago, we were in the middle. So like in 2010, early 2010, we were in the middle of the first Great Depression, which was caused by, the whole housing debacle, before the second Great Depression, which was caused by the pandemic. And I was doing research, and I was on regular grants, and it ran out. My grant ran out, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to try writing. So because we were getting like 99 weeks of unemployment, it was a really good time to do something creative, which is kind of what we're seeing now in the pandemic. People are taking the opportunity to get out of jobs that are not interesting to them and do new things. And I pitched a book that was not the Beer Bible, but the Workman, the publisher there, had the idea. They had this book. Sorry. The Wine Bible, which was written by this woman, Karen McNeil. She's an extraordinary writer, and she actually writes like I do. She has kind of a way of being chatty, and I think this is because I've been a blogger for so long. She has almost a chatty blogger-like approach, but she can also write from the perspective of authority and do good work that way. So it's kind of like a readable tome, which in wine writing was not really the case. Wine writing is really it's much more common in wine writing to find people who go for 5 rupee words and really try to go deep with weird esoteric stuff. So they were looking for somebody who could do that same thing with a book about beer that they would call the Beer Bible. And when I pitched my book, they said, "No, we're not interested in that, but would you be willing to write the Beer Bible?" And it was infinitely better project. So I said, yes, I would very much like to do that. That would be spectacular. And that's how I got the job.
Excellent. And did it take extensive traveling?
Say again?
Does that take extensive traveling to do that research?
Yeah. So you asked about the writing of it. It was 230,000 words, which people don't really. If you're not a writer, you don't know how many words that is. But
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
lot.
a lot. So my Wigmore Way book was about 50,000 words, and Secrets of Master Brewers is about 90,000. So 230,000, a lot of words. And it took me 2 years to write it, and I traveled throughout Europe. I thought I knew about beer. I'd been writing about beer for 15 years or something when they hired me to do that, and I thought, oh, I know all about beer. And then I started traveling and talking to brewers, and I realized I don't really know that much about beer. So I had to learn on the fly. It was kind of like getting a PhD in beer, writing the process of writing that book. Yeah, because the weird thing about writing about anything is you never know as much as the people who you're talking to. So in the case of the Beer Bible, it's got history. So I'm not a historian. Historians know more than I do. I talk about the way the beer is made. I'm not a brewer, so brewers know more about that than I do. I talk about ingredients and agriculture. I'm not a grower, and on and on and on. So I was constantly feeling like I was really fraudulent because I was talking to all these people who knew a lot more than I did, and I was anxious throughout the whole process that when it was published, everyone was going to say, well, this is a load of crap. You obviously don't know what you're talking about, and you just spent 2 years writing crap. So it was really anxious. I was very anxious to do it, although I have to say I learned it, an enormous amount. And I did feel at the end of the process that I understood beer at a much deeper level. And traveling was a huge part of that. Like I drew up a list of all the famous breweries I wanted to go to in Europe, like all the greats, and I sent emails, and with a couple of exceptions, everybody said yes, which blew my mind. And so I just spent time, going to Belgium and like, okay, who do we got on the menu today? Oh, let's see, we have Rodenbach, and tomorrow we're going to go see DuPont, and then we're going to go, see Cantillon, and it was just like one after another. It was insane. And and then I would just get to hang out with them for hours, and they would talk about what they did. So I learned a huge amount.
We can relate. We can relate.
Yeah. The idea of going to
Cantillon, yeah.
Yeah, that's. See, Belgium beers are like one of my favorite styles. Well, all the styles of Belgium, except for sours. Sorry, I'm not a sour guy, but like just being able to go and just explore all those breweries would just like, I would like be constantly like having my head blown apart, I think.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was very cool. I also learned to appreciate all the different beer styles. So I had preferences like you did, and I was not a big German beer fan, and I delayed that until the second year. I did Britain, Belgium, and France the first year, ale country. Then I thought I'll deal with lagers later. I don't really get lagers. I'm scared of Germany. And I don't really like lagers that well. And I spent 10 to 12 days in Germany, and I talked to brewers and spent a lot of time in Bavaria, drank like all the Hellas's, and something changed. And then I became this ginormous fan of German beers. And I think now a lot of the people who read me and follow me on social media and read my blog think of me as like a lager guy. I'm kind of the defender of the lagers, which is really funny because I started out as a classic Northwest IPA guy. That was my jam. And it took visiting these places and talking to brewers, and then it just shifted.
Did you get to Cologne?
Yeah. Spent 3 days in Cologne and Dusseldorf, and most of that was in Cologne.
Yeah, you recently did a podcast about Kolsch, didn't y'all?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Oh no.
I recently wrote an article about Kolsch, so it kind of blends in. I think we did do that on a podcast on that because it was in my head.
Yeah, and you were talking about how Cologne to me is fascinating. It's a place I can't wait to get to, and the reason it's fascinating is because that's all they brew there is Kolsch. So, like for someone like me who goes into breweries who wants to try 17 different styles, 17 different ways, I'm going to Kolsch, going to Cologne, really, really in a backwards ass thinking way. I cannot wait because it'll just give me. I don't have a choice. So just serve me what I need to drink, and then I can move on to the next one. But I would love to taste all the different iterations because I'm sure they're not all the same. And I freaking love that style, Jeff. I've come to love that style. It's one of the I see a Kolsch, it's what I run for. It's most likely the one that I get a full pint of if I get any of it. Sorry, porters. But I don't see you guys out there like that. And I don't know. Usually I just grab a porter. I usually grab the porter for takeout. So I go home and have my porter. But Kolsch is something that I've really grown to love.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's a different drinking experience because you're exactly right. You walk into a brewery, a pub at a brewery, and they have one beer. There's no beer menu. There's no discussion about what beer you have. There's only one choice. But the interesting thing is your palate becomes attuned to, in Cologne, for example, same in Dusseldorf because they only have alt beer there. So your palate becomes attuned to really small differences between the beers, and then you go to you're at fruit and you're like, oh man, this yeast character is knocking me out. I'm getting an apricot note. Oh, it's amazing. And then you go to Goffel and you're like, oh man, this like really spicy hop note. It's so interesting. And you have to let it unfold a little bit because the first few places on the first day, it's like this tastes like Kolsch. These all taste the same. So you got to let it. You got to let it. You got to drink a lot and let it kind of settle. It's a different experience. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, man. Doug?
So, going to go back to Belgium for a moment.
Yeah.
Although.
Hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah. Omegang, Rare Voss.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one I haven't had in a while. And I was like, man, I haven't had one of those in forever. Omegang is literally like 70 miles from my house. So
okay.
I get all their stuff. And it's they're owned by Duvel. And so they make really good Belgian beers for an American version of it. So, I think a lot of folks in our audiences have Rare Voss before. If you haven't, really, really good amber ale. They say with orange peel and grains of paradise. Grains of paradise. That I didn't know. And coriander, which, so yeah. Bad pour.
Yeah, Belgian beers are often, because they're bottle conditioned, they're often very effervescent. And yeah.
And I had forgotten that, so that's on me. But what's funny is like this Belgian is like it's touted as an amber ale, but it's really not that dark. I mean, it's darker than what I had before with the hazy IPA, but ambers generally have more like that copper tone. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. You think, Jeff, from lots of ambers, but to me, that's not quite that tone. My lighting isn't great here, so apologies for that. But this is really, really tasty, and if you can't find it, let me know because I'll send you some. I'll be happy to do beer exchanges, folks.
Oh, okay. So I guess you're going to be looking for one of these, which is Cash for Money from Wisconsin's only Black-owned brewery, Venture Brewing.
Newly added to the diversity database.
Yes, and it's a wonderful segue to that. But this is Idaho 7 hops, which I'm sure Jeff. Idaho's close to y'all, so you better be more familiar with that than me.
Yeah, I was actually born in Idaho, so yeah.
Oh.
But I'm pretty familiar with that hop. It's getting much more play, so I'm now more familiar with what it's like. Yeah, Idaho's an interesting hop growing place. It's mostly Anheuser-Busch fields, so a lot of their stuff doesn't actually make it into the broader marketplace. But Idaho 7 was one of those ones that was engineered. Idaho's a pretty dry state, so it's dry and hot, and so these hops were really engineered to be grown in a dry, hot place. But they're very juicy and like very modern and lovely.
That's funny because people who aren't familiar with the Northwest climate, like me, kind of, I would assume that it's very, very wet, given that we know Seattle's wet and that's what we hear. But Idaho is pretty far. I mean, it's next to Washington State, it borders it, but it's pretty far from Seattle. It's about 3 hours or 2 hours or something like that. So like it's not as close as people vision in their head, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so there's a mountain range that cuts Washington and Oregon in half called the Cascade Mountain Range, and on the east side of that, it's dry, and it goes dry all the way to like South Dakota, halfway through South Dakota. So yeah, there you go. The climate, like if you get in your car in Portland or Seattle and start driving east, once you get on the other side of those mountains, you can drive all the way to Sioux City, South Dakota, before you start getting into what we would think of as more Midwestern, wetter climate, where you have those lush green fields where you can grow beautiful plants. It's just like high desert and mountains in that vast area in between. And Idaho is all like that. There's a lot of mountains, but also it's dry.
Yeah, I love Montana, but we're not going to get into that. What's up, Doug?
No, I just it was funny because I didn't plan on having the whole thing talking about the Cascade Mountains, but that beer I have next is from Cascade Brewing. So nice. that was a fortuitous accident.
Yes, you see a lot. That word is in everything out here. We don't try to name any company Cascade now, because all the trademarks are gone. Everyone loves that name.
So Cascade for you guys is like Peachtree in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Where everything is Peachtree, doesn't matter where you
are. Right. So Doug, actually, I'm sorry, Jeff, you mentioned your diversity beer database, and that's why I reached out to you. I don't know why I didn't reach out to you before. Probably because fanboy things, and there's this level of, you spoke about it too, and I said I could relate. There's a level of the people that we bring onto the stream know more about what they're talking about than we do. I mean, we even have one of our favorite friends, and he's a commenter. Our friend Manny. It's the 50th anniversary of Monster Mash cereal. This man knows more about cereal than I think it's humanly possible, Jeff.
Yep.
So even with all the respect, we love Manny, but even Manny knows more about what he's talking about when he comes on the stream than we do, even if it's cereal. So there's a level of that, you didn't say the words, but I'm going to say them, imposter syndrome, where I don't, like, why would Jeff Alworth come on my stream? What would he be doing with that? So I didn't really think about, that's the reason why I haven't reached out to you before. But when I saw the diversity beer database, I was like, oh no, this is right. Like, you're going to at least try to get this man on so that he can talk about this, because it's important. So where did this idea come from? How did you start? And obviously your heart's behind it.
Where can we find it?
Yeah, all that.
Well, I'll tell you where you can find it first. It's at my blog, beervanablog.com. And when you go there on the splash page, you'll see there's a button right at the top, which has the Diverse Breweries database link, and it's a Google spreadsheet. So I update it, and it just automatically repopulates in that site. It's also at the North American Guild of Beer Writers website, and though it's not nearly as easy to find there, I was recently trying to find it there. I couldn't find it, so go to my website. Yeah, it's there you go. I was working with a company who wanted to do beer tastings, and they said, we'd really like to highlight breweries that are owned by underrepresented groups like women, Black owners, Latino owners, things like that. But we don't know who they are. And I said, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a really cool idea, and I don't know. I mean, I know some of them, right? Like I know who they are around here, and I'm sure you know who they are there. But there's not a great resource for all of everybody. And and I think it's the database has so what did I say? Women, Black, Latino,
Asian, LGBTQ, Indigenous.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Somebody's looking at it. Very
I'm
good.
looking at it right now. Sorry.
Yep. Yep.
I'm just staring right at it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think beer is a cool product of human culture that goes back 12,000 years, and wherever grain was grown, humans made beer. So they made it in Europe, of course, and they made it out of barley and wheat, which is what they had there. But in Asia, they made it out of rice, and in Africa, they made it out of sorghum. In South America, they made it out of corn. It's just ubiquitous. Humans figured out how to turn grain into alcohol, and the culture that grew up around it was remarkably similar in many ways, because it, unlike wine and distillates, it's low alcohol. So it really is a great way to it's a social lubricant. It gets people hanging out. It makes you, it doesn't get you hammered right away. So it's really good as far as a social thing, and it kind of creates a community around which you can gather. And we have in America this really, it's descended from Europe, and especially in the United States, it's really descended from Germany. The German immigration wave in the mid 19th century was where we got most of our breweries. So, it's translated as very white and male in modern times, and as a social phenomenon, as a getting together and drinking beers, that's not so good, because there's a lot more people than white men out there, and it would be great if we knew of these breweries where you could go and find owners, and especially I have a special affinity for the brewers. I love owners too, but I have a special affinity for brewers, and where I can find diverse brewers, I'm pretty excited about that. And as a writer too, I need to do better about highlighting the work when I call somebody up to say, tell me how you make this IPA. I need to do better about not just talking to the same old white guys that we always talk to in the industry. So that's another reason. It's a resource for me to be able to find people to talk to.
Excellent, Doug.
Yeah, that's actually been a point of interest for us in the show, is trying to bring diverse voices to the show. Greg and I think about a year and a half ago, we were like,
but going,
but it being able to go and say, hey, let's have more people who don't look like me on the show. And no offense to you, Jeff, you have an authoritative voice about beer, and you're able to, through your diversity databases, to show that, hey, I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about everybody. I want everybody to be able to participate. And that's what we're going for in the show, is trying to be able to just bring different voices to it and be able to have all of us be able to talk about various things. Sometimes it's beer. We had Chuck Wendig on 2 days ago. He's an author. We've had like all different manner of folks. And I think having that ability to be able to branch out and do different things is really important. That's why having your database where you can go and say, all right, I'm going here. Where can I go and find a diverse brewery that I can go and support? I think that's super important. So thanks for getting that together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should say that it's been crowdsourced. So I've been really reliant on people who don't live in the Northwest to tell me in their region if they know of a brewery that has a head brewer or an owner who is one of these underrepresented groups, which is basically everybody who's not white men. Let me know. And I'm on all the social medias, and I got my blog. You can find a way to reach me there. I would love to, it has 325 entries now, which is good, but I'm certain that the number of breweries in the United States, we have 9,000 breweries. I'm sure that the number of breweries who are owned or brew, have brewers from underrepresented groups is way more than 325. So I need to fill that in, and I've done the best I could. On my own, I kind of, I did things like I Googled Latino-owned brewery, and got all the ones that I could and put them in there, but it's inadequate. So if you know of one, let me know and I will add it.
So I cannot get past this part without directing everybody to diversify your palate. My friend Black Beer Traveler, look him up on Instagram. He's fantastic. He's the first one that I've ever seen have just a black one. And I met him at Fresh Fest in Pittsburgh. Fresh Fest, I'm not sure if it's on your radar, Jeff, but it's a black
Barrel and Flow,
brewery.
as it's more popularly known now. So yeah.
No, don't run over me to say that. I was about to go there, buddy. Just so you know. Fresh Fest though was the original black brewery festival. Now it's called Barrel and Flow, as Doug told everybody. I want to put it on your plate, Jeff. I don't know. Again, you shake your head, so it sounds like you heard about it, and that's great. But this is a cultural experience that I think everybody should, white, black, whatever, everybody should at one point of their life make it. It's almost like, to me, it's almost like the GABF. If you're a beer person, you should try to make this at least one time in your life. So I highly recommend that to you. I know you're in Portland, and I know it's a pandemic, so I'm not really saying this year, but it's going to be coming for many years. So if you ever can get to that, that'd be great. But I just want to put this on everybody's screen here. This is the my friend Black Beer Travelers made this one. This is black owned, but he also does wine, black owned wines. It's definitely directed towards just black people, or I'm sorry, just black owners. But that was a start to me. That was like, wow. When I saw that the first time, I was like, man, this is something that's really valuable. So then you took it to another level, and both are very, very valuable. We need them both, actually. But yeah, anybody, Jeff's very accessible via his Twitter. He's here. If he wasn't accessible via his Twitter, he wouldn't be here. That's how I got him. So yeah, Jeff, first of all, I want to thank you. And it's just going to always be it sounds like you already know. Unlike a book, it's going to be a work in progress. Meaning you're not going to be able to just sit it there and just let it evolve and be good. So yeah, and I really love the indigenous part. As a beer traveler, I love it all, actually. And as a beer traveler, this is going to help me kind of narrow down those places, because we still have, what, Jeff? 6,000 breweries in America? I mean, 9, some of them not. We have 9. That's more that's more than pre-pandemic.
Oh, yeah, they continue to grow. I mean, thanks to the federal government's response, we didn't actually lose very many breweries during the pandemic, fortunately.
Yeah, we really didn't.
Yeah, because I'm still kind of waiting for some of them to fall off, and they haven't. And the reason I was waiting is because like this week, for example, they let the eviction thing go this week, and then they went back and kicked it back in. My point is that there's going to be a point in this pandemic where you got to shut up and put up, meaning all these loans are going to end, and all these things that were put in for the pandemic for people to make it through are going to end. And at that point, I'm afraid that some things might end as far as breweries and stuff. So that hasn't happened yet. So I'm good. But you're really more into this than me, and you're saying that we grew during the pandemic. Then
yeah, it's amazing. Okay. It's amazing.
That shows the resiliency of. I'm sorry. That shows the resiliency of the whole. The whole industry.
Yeah, it's very resilient. I mean, I think it helps that if you own a brewery, people can take your product home. Restaurants are in a much more difficult situation, especially there's a lot of them that couldn't really scramble and do that, whereas beer comes in a handy package. So that was very helpful. And then the federal response, where they got the PPP loans out and all that stuff, that also really helped. So it could have been way, way worse. And I mean, one thing that I've learned about the diverse breweries database is most of the breweries in that database were founded in the last 5 years. And the breweries that were most vulnerable during the pandemic were the ones who were carrying a lot of debt, who had just opened, who hadn't gotten a big and supportive fan base. So had there been carnage in the industry, it would have fallen, as so often things do, on Black and Latino and women-owned breweries that just opened up and had a lot of debt. So kudos to the federal government for helping business out.
Wow. Now, I never thought I'd hear that shit from anyone. And that's a definitely, without a doubt, nonpartisan kind of statement that Jeff made. He's not, we're not on either side. It's just like, we all have a critique about what the federal government has done during this. So it's just really nice to hear that as a person who's on the front edge of all this news. That's good to hear. So Jeff, you're going on, you have planned a trip. I want to talk about that in a little bit, and so does Doug. But I want to show you guys a real quick clip about how hard and what is going on out there. So y'all can, if you guys get traveling, y'all be a little bit more wary. So I want to show you this.
Freaking food truck battles.
Yes. Oh, ice cream.
Yeah, this thing was top heavy. I thought one was going to fall.
So we even have ice cream trucks. I was Jeff's. So for everyone who doesn't follow Jeff, Jeff has planned. Let's just say now. I'll let him talk about it. Jeff has planned, I believe, a cross country trip to America. I'm not sure. He's going to verify all this to see what's going on after the pandemic and see where everybody's at, and to visit some places that he's never been. And Doug is going to Iceland, and I'm going to Barrow Flow. So we're all going to be stepping out here a little bit. And since I've heard that Doug's going to Iceland, ask him. I've been warning him
you've
about.
You've been trying to terrify me, motherfucker. Stop it.
No, I've been warning about especially the airports. To me, the airports, Jeff, are the most safest place now, but they're the most reckless place. Like, safest because they make you wear masks, and it just seems like they're taking all the precautions they can to stop the spread of COVID, either in the air or in their airports. They're really trying. They are. Like, I don't care what you say about them, they're trying. But that has led to the mask holes. That's my opinion. That are resisting it and fighting and angry that they have to wear one, or angry about COVID. So, like, I've been trying to warn Doug to make sure that he and his wife are ready for the brawl if they need to be. But we see here that we have ice cream trucks fighting too. So we are in a we talked about this right before you got on, Doug, pre-production. We are in a weird place in our society with the pandemic, given that we've all went through a lot of mental things during the pandemic. All of us, ALL. Not some of us, all of us. We all went through that. But Jeff, explain to us where the thinking behind your trip, what you're going to do. Are you going to be writing? Are we going to get some writing out of this? We're definitely going to get some good podcasts, I know. But are we going to get any? Is there any writing behind this? And what you going to do with it?
Yeah. So, well, the idea was it was going to be a book tour in support of the second edition of the Beer Bible.
Okay.
And when we started planning it, the cases were down and people were getting vaccinated and everything was opening up, and it looked like it was going to be safe. And now not so clear what I don't know. It'll happen or it won't happen, and we're going to have to wait and see where we are. It would start in late September and go through about Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So we'll just see if it's possible to do that.
Are you driving, Jeff?
No, I'll drive in this neighborhood, but flying mostly, because I'll go different chunks of the country. So like I'll have a northeast swing, and then a southern swing, and one on the west coast, and one in the upper Midwest. So those are kind of the chunks I would fly in, and actually probably drive around. So like for the upper Midwest, I'm going to do Minneapolis, Chicago, and Milwaukee, and I think I would drive between Chicago and Milwaukee. We haven't actually gotten that far, but so like that. And like when I get to the East Coast, I'll touch down and then I'll drive around. Presuming any of this happens, this is how it would happen. And yeah, you're right. I would do some podcasting, and I love the last time the Beer Bible, when the first one came out, I got to do a book tour, and it was incredibly instructive because I was able to see, what people are drinking in different parts of the country. It was a weird time. So they came out in August of 2015, and everybody was making gozas. Like everywhere I went, somebody had a goza on tap, and it was just one of those weird moments where that style was giant. And I'm certain that's not going to be the case now. But it'll be interesting to see, like what's going on. So I'm excited to. I've been extremely excited to do this, and I hope it happens because it's fun to see what people are drinking in different parts of the country. And see if there's always differences. It's still a regional thing, so it's fun if you can do it.
That and you've been sitting on your ass for a year in a pandemic, and you're definitely not a person who sits on their ass. You go all around and you're visiting all kinds of breweries. You're a world traveler, so that must be tough for you. Doug, I know you want to make a comment about those ghosts.
That's one that I've just really grown to love since we started this show. I love Gosas, and Craig is not a Gosa fan, which is interesting because like we have this weird thing where like I like Gosas, sours are like I gotta have them tart, I can't have them sour, and Greg's like give me all the sour, and I'm like great, awesome, you can have all those, just give me all your Gosas. So it's like I imagine you won't see as many Gosas, but like I really dig that style.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's shaken. I mean, if I'd done this last year, I think I would have seen a lot of Italian Pilsners. I don't know if they're still out there, but
and brewed IPAs were a thing there for a bit too.
Right. There's always these little boomlets of some style. So I'm curious to see if there's a boomlet out there or what I'll see. And also it's just fascinating to see, here in the Northwest, if you go to a brewery, the tap list it'll have, maybe 20 taps. That's kind of typical, 20 handles, and probably 6 will be hoppy beers. And then the balance will be other stuff. And so I think IPAs are going to be popular everywhere, but I look at the other 14 taps, like what's the mix going on here? How many lagers are there? There's a period where saisons were a lot more common. So, stuff like it's always curious. I'm curious to see what's going on. And, in some parts of the country, they drink more of certain styles that are not popular elsewhere. So that stuff is always fun for me.
Hey, Jeff, check our private chat there. I sent you a note. I don't know if you can see it over there. And while you do that, I want to show this quick clip.
This man got the right dentist. That's all I'm gonna say. Dentist is on point.
Ladies and gentlemen, just make sure your seatbelts are fastened. We are landing.
Make sure your seatbelts are fastened while you're duct taped in a chair because you can't control yourself. And so again, Jeff, you said you triggered me when you said you're going on an airplane. So I wanted to show you all that because that's what's craziness is going on in the airport. It's crazy.
Yeah, but that guy, to be fair, was like causing a ruckus before they freaking taped him down. And I don't know if you saw the video of the guy who was like, "Hey, I'm a flight attendant. I'm attending this flight," and that guy was causing a problem. So I made sure he didn't cause a problem. I'm like, that guy is the best flight attendant fucking ever. That dude deserves a medal.
Yeah.
I think they got suspended though, or something.
I know. Yeah, I hope there's a backlash against that. I think everybody in America said, "Yeah, take that bastard down. Good move."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately,
right.
The problem is it's like that whole PR thing with flights. So yeah.
Well, why can't you just behave, people? Come on. Like, we're all in the tube. We're all trying to get somewhere. On Wednesday, I posted these pilots, Doug, are just like, look, enough. Like, the pilots are even saying enough at this point. and they're tired of it because their job is to get all of us safe to a destination. It's not their rules. It's not, you know what I mean? They don't want to be cops. They want to fly the plane. They want you to sit down. Well, again, pre-pandemic, this was simple. This is not. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if you guys got a comment. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the F is
to
saying
you
anymore.
because I'm good because I can go an hour on how much these idiots are on planes. But yeah,
all of that crew was suspended.
Yep, all of them.
I guess my comment here is you guys are right that there's a lot of strife in the country right now. You know, we're coming. I think the psychological trauma of being in a pandemic and losing 600,000 people and all of the associated problems with that was something that's going to take a while for us to unpack. How you know, what kind of load we're all carrying from that psychologically. But you know, I look at people who don't make a lot of money, who work in service industry, whether they're serving me a beer or you know, working on an airplane or wherever it is. And this is not a kind of job where you make a lot of money or get a lot of status. And you're right at the front line. You have to deal with people who are jerks. You have to deal, you know, these were the folks who were most susceptible to getting the virus. Like, there's nothing about this that's good for them. And so if you have any kind of kindness in your heart, think about them when all this stuff is happening. Like, let's be cool for their benefit. Yeah.
I'm into that because that is exactly it.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So I have a third beer, but Jeff, you opened a second one, I believe. I heard it do that. So let's.
Yeah, we want to hear about that shit.
Yeah, because that was an English mild, I believe you said you had.
That's right. That cool one. Sorry.
Analog Life from Good Word. Was Good Word the brewery you had from the first one as well?
Yeah. They sent me this box of beer, and I don't routinely get low alcohol beer, so this was pretty cool. I thought I will keep my edge as we're talking and have a couple of beers, and that'll be good. Yeah, there does seem to be some space now for breweries that are doing, you know, traditional styles and lower alcohol formats. I know everybody still likes 7.5% IPAs, but you know, they're doing cool stuff, and that's we also have really cool art. That's a really cool label.
Yeah, and I'm all in on the on any sort of artwork and anybody they can. As Jeff, I don't know if you agree. You have a lot more experience with this than I do. I always think that if you invest in your can art or your bottle art, then you're going to invest in your beer. That does not always work for me, but like it feels like if you're going to invest time in that, and you're going to invest time in making sure your beer is good too. Do you have anything to say on that before I open this lovely Cascade beer?
No, I totally agree. I mean, I think, you know, a brewery is an immersive experience. So you've got, you may have a tap room. So breweries make a bunch of choices about what they make that tap room look like. They have cool labels or not cool. They should have cool labels. They have their line of beers, which all of that stuff kind of contributes to the way we think of them. I think of breweries as the brand is the personality. It's sort of like the clothes they wear. So when you see somebody, you can kind of get a sense of who they are. You know, are they wearing all black and you know, look gothy, or are they tell a lot about a brewery by how they present themselves. And I think, you know, that's a great way. Breweries do have personalities, and people sort of line up based on, like, I want to associate myself with that brewery. That's my personality. And more and more that so many breweries make good beer now that I think those other elements, since there are a lot of breweries that make good beer, you can really get into the expression, the other creative part of the brewery and the expression that they have. So yeah, totally. I think that's a big part. And yes, I see on comments, people are asking where it's from, and Good Word is from Duluth, which I had to look up, which it is near Atlanta. So yeah, Atlanta area. And I really am excited. If I get to go on my tour, I'm going to go to Atlanta, and I think there are a few you know, periodically a city will really mature and have a super cool thing going on. And I mean, I feel like right now Atlanta is maybe the most interesting. Austin and Atlanta right now are probably the two cities that I'm most excited to go to. So I hope I get.
Yeah, Milwaukee too Milwaukee's blown me away.
All right.
As far as really. And I don't know. I've been here a while. They haven't really. Again, Milwaukee has a rich brewing history. I mean, it's just amazing, actually. All that, but what they've done recently and who's popped up recently, Milwaukee, I think you're really going to enjoy it. With that being said, Doug, you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, before I go to third, I just wanted to kind of piggyback on something Jeff was saying about, like, Greg, remember when we went to High Seas Brewing? Was it High Seas? And they shifted from this like very cartoony pirate thing to something a little more almost minimalist. But that made it look so much better. Like, they had good beer, their IPAs are really, really well received. But like, we went there and like they were like, yeah, we're in the midst of changing our logo and all this stuff. And their other thing was just like, it felt like very, I say cartoony, it's the best word I can come up with. Like, it was just, it wasn't like something that looked like a serious brewery. Doesn't mean they didn't have good beer. It just meant that it looked kind of childish in a way.
All right.
And Greg and I went there. So we went there, and the Guinness like experimental brewery, Heavy Seas, not High Seas. You're right. Sorry, Daniel Fisher. That guy knows a shit ton. So anyway, so we went from Heavy Seas to the Guinness experimental brewery in Baltimore. They're both in Baltimore. And the Guinness brewery is much more polished, but I way preferred the atmosphere and the beer at Heavy Seas. But like, I think your idea of like, hey, I'm going to give you this experience. The Heavy Seas, if I would have gone there and it was like that piratey theme, I'd have been like, fuck, I'm in like Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't want to see that shit. But this was way different, and they were changing it. So I just think you're completely right on that. So
is that on your radar real quick, Jeff? The Guinness Baltimore.
Yeah, so they're actually
food and really weird beers. Really
hold
good
on,
stuff.
Doug.
Yeah, they're a sponsor of my blog, and I got to follow that whole thing as it was unfolding, which brought me in contact with Baltimore, which I have to say is maybe my favorite city aside from Portland, Oregon. I super fell in love with Baltimore. Baltimore is awesome. I really loved Baltimore. It actually reminded me a lot of Portland in some ways. It's like everything about Baltimore is super Baltimore-y. You know, they have the crab cakes, they have their Old Bay, they have Daddy Bo, they have like Baltimore is a contained universe. Baltimore is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore.
And my fucking old ass, all I can think of is Baltimore and Tarzan Boy. So sorry, I'm 80s music style. So anyway, I'm going to open up this Cascade beer.
Is that Baltimore?
No, they're Baltimore.
So it seems like
Baltimore.
Commenters may not be as big of fans of Baltimore as I am, but I had a great time in Baltimore. It was
right.
Fun, man.
Oh boy, including the Baltimoreans.
Great.
What's up, Doug?
So this beer, I swear to you, Jeff, I was in Vermont, and this was on a shelf. Look at the year on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that you said you like tart and you don't like sour. Get ready, my friend. You're about to get something sour.
Yeah, well, it's like quad and blonde ales, aged in bourbon and wine barrels, orange peel and coriander. So it's fucking 4 years old. It was I have no idea what I'm walking into. I just like, holy shit.
They age really well. I mean, I don't think the age will be a problem because acidity is a preservative, so it should be fine on that score. But it's probably going to be pretty darn tart.
Wait, I just realized that's Cascade. Oh shit! Duh.
Ooh, baby,
I love Cascade. Cascade's
that
amazing.
is going to be, that smells like a kettle sour. That's how So yeah, this is going to be probably not my jam. Awesome.
Well, you have a good nose. It's not a kettle sour, but it's lactobacillus. So they barrel aged them on lacto. It's weird.
Like it smells very much like a kettle sour.
Yeah, your nose tells the truth.
I almost forgot an important ass question I got to ask.
Holy
Jeff
shit!
After this.
I'm afraid to taste this. It smells exactly like the kind of sour I don't like to drink.
Yeah, I'm afraid that may be the case.
Ooh, baby. Grab the Tums. It's not that the problem is, it's like, like the kettle sour stuff is just too much for me. That's why, like when you said about going to Cotillion, and I'm like, I'm not sure I can handle that place because they're so like sour centric, but like, all right, here we go.
Yeah,
right, you ready? Get there. I got a quick question for Jeff before we have to let him go.
All right. Not nearly as it's sour, but it's not like that kettle sour where it's like I'm going to sit in your stomach for like an hour. Okay. Very, very sour and tart on the palate, but not like, you know how with kettle sour you drink it and it's just like, all right, that's going to sit with me for a while. This isn't like that.
Very good.
Maybe it's just the aging, but like, okay, it's tart and it like if it's really hot, this would be excellent. So yeah, I'm going to drink the whole bottle. So yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it.
I was a little worried when I smelled that shit because I was like, oh no.
Yeah, when you talked about gozas, like I like tart and not sour, and you'd already showed me the cascade. I thought, okay, well this is gonna be interesting.
Well, I'm glad I could entertain you, Jeff, at least for a short time.
Hey, Jeff entertains us all the time, so
yeah,
you can pay back the favor there, Jeff. So, Jeff, really fast before I get to TV. I remember. So, I went to a Portland. What was it? 3 years ago, I went to a Portland beer tour where I spent like 2 days just going all over Portland, and that, as you already know, that wasn't enough. But it was enough to give me a profile of what I liked personally. So just so everybody in the comments know, and just so Jeff knows, this is my personal opinion. Okay, cool. So with that being said, I found East Coast Portland beer and West Coast Portland beer to be different. And I mean, when you guys have a river and you guys got like 6,000 bridges that cross them. I don't know what the river's called. Sorry. You can tell me right now, what's the river called?
Willamette.
Thank you. In between, there's East and West. East gives me the feel of higher end, bigger breweries, meaning bigger as in like people who they employ, barrels per, all that. And the West side, closer to me, gave me the working class brewery feel. I enjoyed the West side almost vastly more than I enjoyed the East side. And I didn't really even think about it in like two terms of geography until I really like sat down and looked at my notes and was like, again, you're like, you go on these tours and you know what I'm saying, you come home and then you really like can, while you're in it, you have a different look. But then when you look back, you're like, oh, okay, there's a lot of things. So I really enjoyed, and I don't know if you can comment on it. I'm not asking you to opine on it because again, I know that's your city. But I just really enjoyed the west side of Portland vastly more than I enjoyed the eastern part. I don't know if that you've ever heard that. I don't know what you want to comment on that, or what do you think about that?
Oh, I tip my hat to you. You have a future as a ethnographer, my friend. The city of Portland is really two cities. So Venn diagram is the circles. The city is like that with the overlap is downtown. Like we the west side and the east side share downtown. We both consider that part of our orbit. If you're from the east side or the west side, downtown is part of the orbit. But yeah, it's really two cities. So if you're a west side person, you basically never go to the east side. And if you're an east side person, except for downtown, which is on the west side, you never go to the west side. It's just it's very different that way. I actually drove a cab after I got back from Madison. I drove a cab for a year, and I'm an east side guy. And I never, in the entire year I drove that cab, there was only one time somebody got into the cab on the east side and said, take me deep into the west side. And then I was in trouble because this was back before cell phones. And I was like, oh, cabbie tip. What? You have a way you like to go? And fortunately, he said, oh, yeah, go this way. I'm like, all right, sweet. He'll tell me how to get there because I don't know that half of the city.
Right. I got that feel in 2 days. But it literally took me to come back home, and then I looked and I was like, wow, you really enjoyed the one as opposed to other. And I just thought, Portland was going to be more of an immersive experience, but I actually got that feeling. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I can't wait to go back.
You figured out a thing that people outside the city don't usually notice when they visit, and I often, when I describe the city, I usually start there. It's really two cities, and
wow.
That was very observant of you.
And you say I have a career in what coming up?
Like being an ethnographer, what is that?
It's like a sonographer, but for ethnicities.
When you're what? My brain. So there's sociology, but there's the other one that's I can't remember what it's called. It's a social science where you go and you talk to people and you like understand the
lay of the land,
culture. Yeah,
and how
see how people live and what's different about it. Like, every city has its own vibe, and
yes.
Locals know what's going on, and you got to go there. You got to live in the city for a while before you can kind of figure out what's happening. So,
yeah, Jeff, and you may know this from being in Madison, Florida. Madison is East Side, West Side, and they're definitely different terrains. Again, same kind of middle class people, of course, but like the terrain is different. And there is this camaraderie. Like I'm West Side, so I don't ever go to the East Side, or vice versa. And East Side's more walkable, West Side's more drivable. West Side has more higher end things. East Side has more, yeah. So with that being said, before we let Jeff go, I want to know. Jeff, are there any TV shows that you're currently watching that you would like to recommend to everybody?
Yeah, when you when you threw that at me, I realized COVID has been weird. I've kind of descended back into really gentle, familiar stuff because I'm emotionally fragile in a way that I, didn't used to be. It used to be like, hey, what's the really edgy show now where we have an anti-hero who's killing everyone? That's sweet. I'm not right there now. So I've been watching a lot of the old TV Star Trek stuff, which is all, it's like this imagined future world where humanity is much more developed, and that's super cool. So that's gentle and soft. And there's this show that they had on the BBC for a long time called Hustle, where there are these con artists in London, and they hustle like people who are like rich people who are cheating other people. So it's kind of like a Robin Hood thing. It's light and gentle. So that's kind of where I am now.
This?
Yeah. Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
That's Mickey Bricks there. He's the head of the crew.
Where do you find that? It looks like Prime Video.
Yeah.
Prime Video. Excellent. Doug, you have one?
Yeah. So I shared the tab over there. It's something that Jill and I watch every week. Something called Gardener's World. Jill and I.
Another BBC. Look at that.
Another BBC one. And I will tell you, the guy that's in that picture is a guy named Monty Don. He is like the Bob Ross of British gardening, like soothing. It's just like he talks about a lot of stuff about, like he talks about how gardening saved him from depression. Like he's just a sweet human. And you watch a show and it's like, it's a little balm for the soul. He talks about these plants and just like he has these different. We go here and we look at these different things. He knows all the plants. I don't. It sounds dumb. It does, but it's just so. There's something so soothing about hearing him talk about how he gardens. I don't know, the happy little trees, but like literally. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
In comments, Facebook user notes that the word I was looking for is anthropology. That is the discipline that ethnography exists in. Thank you.
That was Lauren Yee.
Okay, Lauren. I'm not sure why she's not showing up.
I don't either.
And somebody asked about which Star Trek. I worked my way all through DS9, and now I'm on TNG. So yeah.
Yeah, that was GHG asking about that. So, oh no, Lauren asking about which season though. So.
Oh yeah, the which season. So if that's about hustle, it's interesting. There's kind of two half. It ran 8 seasons, and there's this sort of intolerable guy in the first 4 seasons who leaves, and so I actually like the second half better.
Intolerable, great.
All right, Jeff. Well, it's been fantastic. I'm having you. I'm thank you for joining us. I thank you for bringing the beer database to not only fruition but bringing it to everybody. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be bugging you in your Twitter when I go through and I see what I need to see. But that's also going to drive me to find more about all the other ones. I'm really up on the black brewers for sure. I know pretty much a lot of them. I'm working on a charity beer for them for Black Fatherhood. So I'm really trying my best to find out who all they are. But at the same time, I can branch out and find out everything I can about the rest of them. They're all important. As far as diversity goes, we need more diversity. Who wants to walk into a brewery and just see one kind of people? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, we all want to go in and see women and different people of color. And I don't know about you, and I'm not trying to start this conversation, but I'm cool with kids depending on, again, what time it is and, kids, families. To me, a brewery is a pub. You bring your family. You bring your, you know what I mean? Again, I'm not talking about it like 10 o'clock at night. Nobody thinks anybody's kids should be out at a bar at 10 o'clock at night. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about lunch. I'm talking about mid-afternoon. I'm talking about dinner. These are things that I think a lot of people want to see. It just makes it feel welcoming, makes it feel homey, makes it feel like, breweries are like your local neighborhood. They're no different than the corner store that we don't have anymore. We have 7-Eleven and we have Wawa. We have all that. We don't have the corner store that's been there for generations since the people came over from wherever they came over from. Breweries are that, like, to me, breweries have always been that. So I just want to thank you for all that. Do you have any final parting shots at Doug or something?
No final shots. There's a woman who does illustrations, Pints and her name is M. Sauter, and she has the Pints and Panels thing, and her kind of refrain is beer is for everyone, and I'm with her on that. So I will echo what you just said.
Yes. Thanks, Jeff. Good luck. We love to have you back on next year to talk about your trip, and to talk about how the second rollout of this wonderful book came out, and I hope y'all in the comments will use I've only seen one person use the hashtag Beervana, so only one person is going to get a book unless y'all jump in.
Get your shit together.
But if you get this book, again, this is years of reading. Like, no one's going to read it like I did, like an idiot, like in 2 days or 3 days. But it's not, to me, this is a table. What do they call it, Doug? A table book where you just put it on your table.
Coffee table book.
Yeah. Coffee table book. Thank you. Where you go through and you read a style a day and you just have a beer with it. That's that kind of book it is. It's one of those that you just gotta have
like the Garrett Oliver book and everything. So you want that shit on the table.
Yeah, the Garrett Oliver book is a little bit more. I was going to mention that book is a little bit more intensive than Jeff's. Jeff's is a more easier read, to be honest with you.
For sure.
Yeah, my friends always say it's a really great bathroom book. You're in there.
No, don't.
Like, you got a few
Don't get us
minutes.
started on
It's
that
perfect.
We're not even gonna go there, Jeff or Doug. We're gonna let Jeff go, and maybe we could talk about that after. But Jeff, thank you. Good luck and be safe on your trip. We will be following you. I know I'll be following you, especially on the podcast and all that. So, cheers, friend. And I can call you friend now. You've been on our podcast. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff.
Cheers. I
Thanks,
drank
Jeff.
my beer, so
Oh, great.
Jeff, you're welcome to stay and hang out with us later, but I know you pretty much have to go. So again, thank you. I'll be talking to you on Twitter. Hit him up on Twitter if you guys know any of any diversity breweries that Jeff has not mentioned or put in his database. So thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you all. And thanks
care.
for
Yep.
You got it. Okay, cool. Okay. I didn't want to cut him off. Of course, Jeff's the last person I want to cut off. But so yeah, Doug, it was fantastic. I don't Jeff left. I have another clip that I want to show if you don't mind.
Do it, man. Let's do it. While I'm drinking this sour beer that isn't like killing my stomach. Let's do it.
This might make you sour though. The caption on
sourdough.
The caption on this one is tonight in Las Vegas.
You're a bitch! Shut the fuck up! You grown ass bitch!
I'm gonna show you, bitch. You have to fucking
Show me a goddamn bitch!
Tased him, Doug. And now he's macing him. Do we know each other? Is there any background here?
Yeah, you're a bitch! Come here, bitch! Fuck around and shit. Come on, bitch! Come on!
Look how that guy just runs down the street. Come on, get me, car.
Shit, what wheelchair? What you talking about?
Apparently, that guy's in a wheelchair or like a scooter.
What the fuck is this shit?
What the fuck was that shit?
That was
There's
in
so
Vegas.
much there.
All right,
There's
it's
so
in
much
Vegas.
there.
You don't know what the fuck. And Vegas is like its own little alien world.
I get it, but the dude comes out with a mask. The dude's in a wheelchair. There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
I don't even want to.
Now he wasn't in a wheelchair. He was in a jazzy chair or whatever the fuck that is.
Okay.
So maybe he has disability and that's okay. But like,
yeah, but it wasn't that much.
he got up and fucking tried to tase the other guy.
Right.
And your guy's like, "Oh yeah, watch this. I have a robe. It's like it's fucking bulletproof shield."
So we had a fantastic. What's up, Kyle?
How you came in late, but I'm glad you're here, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, dude.
We had a great. Yeah, that dude was a Kiss impersonator. Okay, that makes.
You know what? I think that was like the Ace Frehley one. I think that was Ace Frehley.
Okay,
and JHG would know because he's the guy.
He's that.
You're a bitch! Shut the fuck up!
So these guys clearly had a beef before this, right?
Yeah, there's no way that there wasn't some sort of previous history going on.
Right. Because you're a bitch, he said. So, like, there's something. Right. Yep. Kyle's glad you're here too, Doug.
Well, thank you, Kyle. I love you, man.
Kyle, you want to jump on one of these nights and
we need him in here too.
Man, listen, man, we don't give a shit. We can have Chuck Wendig and we can have our friends on the stream. This is what it's all about. So don't think y'all are too small or people are too big to get on this shit. No. All of y'all are invited. All of y'all. JHG's been on numerous times. Daniel Fisher hasn't been on enough. Lauren Yee hasn't been on enough. So Jerry, I don't know, Jerry's been on what, 2-3 times? Hasn't been enough. So we got slots for all y'all. Y'all just gotta say you want to be on. We love all you. We ain't gonna be, there's never gonna be a time where we're, what do they call it, Doug? What do they call it when you get too famous and you don't talk to your friends
Too
anymore?
big for your britches?
Too big, or I forget. There's a saying though. I forget what it is. The point is that ain't us, and it ain't
That
gonna
ain't us.
happen.
We're not
But-
here. We're not here to fucking. Let's talk IPA. Fuck you,
Right.
Kyle. I'm not talking IPAs. Goddamn you.
Right. Let's
let's talk
Kyle
IPAs. Hey, you want me to shit talk them? Come on, let's go.
I love Kyle because I remember Kyle when Kyle was not an IPA guy and he was just like a lager guy. That's when I met him, and I was like, "Dude, you need to keep going." And he's like, "Well, what do I do for?" I was like, "Just keep tasting shit." So then I'm pretty sure it was soon after that, and Kyle can correct me in the comments. Soon after that, he got an IPAs and he's like, "Dude, this shit's my jam." And he found his brewery, which is Black Stack out of Minneapolis. Fantastic brewery. I need to get there. I just hear nothing but good about them. They're small. He was there a couple weeks ago or last week. Said he met the owner. Just had a really good time. So, and that's what Jeff was saying about how breweries are ecosystems, and they're like, you know what I mean. You find one you like, and you just, I don't know. It's
what was funny was he was that Dangerous Man, Kyle, and he had a particular beer, and I messaged him and like, okay, what do I have to bribe you with to send me one of those? And he goes, dude, there's a million things going on in my life. I just happened to get up there for one day. You'd be better off Paige and Rick on that. And like, he's right. Like, we all have a million things going on. So
yeah. Kyle's got 2 young girls, so he's, you know how that goes.
I do. I am so glad.
But Doug, it gets a little easier as they get older. I think he has
more
more time.
Easier.
I don't think it gets easier. I think you have more time. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it, because like the problems are bigger when they come up. It's not like, I will tell you straight up, the toddler phase for me was like a nightmare. I hated the toddler phase. I liked them when they were babies, and I liked them when they were like 5 and 6. And that little fucking toddler phase of 2 to 3 years was like, I could have been drunk every night. Like literally, like I was like, I can't handle this. I'm working all day. I come home and my kids are trying to stick forks in like light sockets, and like, what am I doing? What? Like I don't know what to do. And like, hey, kudos to you folks who are in the toddler phase, because that shit fucking sucks. I feel your pain.
Not only kudos to y'all who are in the toddler phase, kudos to y'all who do it all day, like Kyle and I did. Like, to do it all day, and like at the end of the day, your head just wants to explode. Like, I was literally numb, Doug, at the end of days. I used to think,
me too.
I used to wake up and like it was 5 o'clock.
Like, your kids would be like, "Wah!" And you'd be like, "Okay, I guess it's time to start." Here's my day.
So I have I don't know what the word is now, because I've had a couple of beers. I had no regrets at this point. I tell my kids are 17 and 15. I'm soon to be that 18 and 16 thing. I have no remorse telling them that they were assholes when they were young. I don't care. The youngest one laughs at my face every time. I tell them about how they threw milk at me, about how they put butter all over the TV, about how they used to fight, about how they used to pee on the doctors when we went to the doctor's thing. Like, all this embarrassing ass shit. And I tell them, I don't care. The youngest laughs like he meant it. Like, he
like,
literally
I knew
laughs
I did that
like,
shit.
right, and he has no remorse, no regret. So then why should I? Like, it's almost that Metallica song from years back, no remorse, no regret. And we're gonna get tagged for that, but whatever.
No regrets.
I don't have no remorse, none. Like, y'all are assholes, and that's just the way it was. Like, kids are assholes. Sorry, here we go. Someone's gonna splice this and splice it and put it out there. I said kids are assholes with no context. But toddlers, man, it's just a mess. I'm sorry.
It is. I
Give
remember, and it was
years.
funny. So what's funny is, so like, I remember telling Joel that I liked kids when they were babies, and I liked them when they were like 6 years old. It's just like, no, I love them when they were toddlers. They had all this their personalities. They were starting to come. I'm like, Great. Good for you, because I'm glad we're not having kids, because here'd be what would happen. I'll take care of them with babies. Fucking take care of them with toddlers, because I'm not doing shit.
Right.
I'm gonna go over there and play my video games. And yes, Lauren, you're exactly right. Kids can be great, and they are. They are fucking great.
Yes.
They do shit
Actually,
that just surprises you and makes you proud. And then they do shit like just dumb stuff, and you're like, who raised you? I know it's me, but like, who raised you? Because that's not how I think we should do things.
right. But
Ugh.
I will say though, in context to all that, my boys have grown up to be very fantastic. They cook. They literally cook. I would say 50% of the meals in this house now, Doug.
No shit.
No
No,
bullshit.
we have one kid
No
who
bullshit.
cooks.
Yeah,
None of the others do.
they cook. But they cook 80% of the breakfasts here. They cook 50% of the lunches. They cook 50% of the dinners. It's really really good food. It's not this crap, because I couldn't deal with that if it was. So they've really grown. They've taken over a lot of the housework now. So again, all those struggles led to them being, hopefully at this point, wonderful citizens. We'll see what happens once they get the boot out of this house. But and it's just weird too, because I don't know, man. Like with the pandemic and everything, the lady and I aren't really even remotely thinking about, quote, giving them the boot. I think our parents were much more, I don't know, weird in this aspect, where it was like 18 is when you get the boot. Like, no, 18 ain't shit. Like 18 is some number that the government made up to act like, oh yeah, well, that's where, most people become adults. No, bitches. People evolve in different ways, okay? So some people are ready to leave the house at 24. Some people are ready to leave at 18, but not everybody. In fact, I would say most aren't. You maybe go to college or something, but you're not ready for a career. You have no idea what the hell. Man, it took me 40 years to figure out what the hell I want to do, and I still don't know what the hell I want to do. I still want to get online, talk. I want to drive around and go to breweries. I want to be a beer person, but I still don't really, at the end of the day, know exactly. I know I don't want to be a brewer. That shit's hard work. Those motherfuckers work way too hard, and it's labor intensive, and they're way more physical, and a lot of them are smarter than fucking me too. So I don't even know. My point is that, like, 18 is not the barometer for our house. It's a barometer of, hey, you're an adult, and if you want to leave, you can. But I know my 18-year-old's not going to be ready to leave when he's 18, and we're ready to foster that until he's ready to do what he wants to do. But clearly, he's growing, and he's able to, he's learning different things, and that's great. But I think with the pandemic, we got to give all of our kids a pass, at least, a short-term pass for, I don't even know why. I mean, because who knows the residual mental, effects that they went through on top of the ones that we went through ourselves. So I can only imagine how it is being an 18-year-old or a teenager.
Yeah. I mean, we have 4 kids, and our oldest is 20, and he goes to college, and fucking Manny.
He's great though.
And great. I agree with that.
He's not saying leave. He's saying get a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna not say things on that right now, because there's a contentious part of that in my house. But like the idea of, like, I was 18, I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know jack shit. What did I know? It took me till I was in my 30s to understand who I was. And I don't want my kids down here until they're 30. I want that to make that very clear. I don't want that. I want empty nest. Give me that. Inject it into my veins. Let me have my own house where I can walk around naked all the time. That's part of my thing. I fucking hate wearing clothes. God damn it. Anyway.
It took a year and a half for you to say that shit. Or
2.5 years. 2.5 years, by the way.
2.5 years?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. Go on.
But at any rate, what I'm saying is, like all of our kids, we've told them, listen, there's things you don't have to do. You don't have to get married. You don't have to buy a house. You don't have to decide your entire future on one thing when you're 18. Like, there's a lot of different things you don't have to do. Now, does that mean we want you to live with us forever? No, but it means like if you need a space to come and stay because you don't have enough money, or you're in a bad situation, or you're in a bad situation with a person, especially, come to us. We'll make space for you if we're not in this house. Whatever. You will have a space to stay.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I was talking to my oldest today about the idea of like cultural differences. Like for us, it's like as Americans, you're 18, you're an adult, figure your shit out. And part of me thinks that is true. I think that my kid gloves are off at you're 18. You're done being coddled. You're 18. You need to fucking do that. Naked Doug. Nobody wants to see that except one person. So, and she's upstairs right now.
Wait, not even one person, not even you?
No, I don't want to see myself naked. Are you kidding? I just like not having clothes on.
Some people like seeing themselves in the mirror and all that. So
No,
sure.
no. But here's the thing. I'm not going to shit on myself for how I look. I look like I look because I had beer for fucking decades and I don't exercise. But like, I'm not going to be mad at myself for how I look. Great. Okay. You look like how you look. Good. Moving on. There's only one person who thinks I look really good, and I'm pretty happy with that person. So I'm good with that.
That's all that matters. Back to what you're saying.
I have no idea what I was saying. So great.
All right. Well, I'll talk a little bit about what you wanted me to talk about in a private chat.
Yes, please.
So what's going on with that Cascade? Are we still finishing it?
Oh, dude, that's done. I've had 3 beers. I'm good. This is why I'm rambling, because I've had 3 beers, and I had 2 beers before we started, so I'm good.
Oh, there was a pregame.
Oh, there was not just a pregame. I had a Woot Stout, and I had a beer that I am saving for next week, which I will not name, but was 9% as well.
Wow, and you did excellent, man. It wasn't like you were all like drunk during the whole thing. But we might be drunk during this. We might be drunk during this next week.
Yes, with Stubbs. Holy shit. Yes, probably.
And just so everybody knows, Doug, correct me if I'm wrong. Stubb was the first remote guest.
I think so.
The first guest was in your house.
Yep.
Right. You had one of your friends over.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the first guest. It was Doug and him and then me. And then Stubb was the first remote guest, meaning it was 3 people in the box.
Yep.
Stubbs is if y'all don't know, he's a beer guy, but he's also a wine guy and he's a bourbon guy. And him and his friend Kern do that bourbon barrel, blah, 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 one bourbon, one
shard, one beer.
One beer, right. And
that podcast was awesome, folks. Check that out.
Yeah.
If you want to be just completely entertained and don't have to think about a fucking thing, they're funny, the music's interesting, and just subscribe.
I've completely stood them up, so Stubbs might come after me next week.
That's okay, because they were supposed to get you on first and have me on for the second round, where I got completely crushed by both of them. So that'd be great.
Right, but I need to get back to them soon. I think actually the dates that they gave me are just not even valid anymore. Anyway, Doug, I do want to.
Hey, how about you join us on June 6th?
Right. You want me to embarrass myself and pull up the email? I won't.
No.
No, I already said I was going to. But so Jeff, was this? Yeah, this was pre-production, right? It wasn't. Y'all didn't see this. Jeff was talking about how he had Afro Beer Chick on his podcast, and I didn't know that. That was pre-production, right?
Yeah, that was pre-production. I was like, what? Now I need to go check it out.
Right, but I think now I remember everything. I think Jeff had her. I didn't hear the podcast or hear it, but I think he had her on after. Remember, somebody wrote fucking disgusting racist comments to her, and then she aired them out on Twitter. And then what happened was it was the I Am Craft Beer movement that her and Dr. J started to push, and then she had right. I'm pretty sure that was the
I think
environment.
you're right.
That was the environment that Jeff, right, and that's how she landed on Jeff's radar, and I'm pretty sure that's probably why she was on the podcast. Well, I've always, we've always had a fascination and love for ABC. We love her. We haven't had her on this year, just for scheduling purposes. And partially my fault too, because I haven't really reached out to her. But I did reach out to her recently, Doug, with an idea for a live monthly stream. As y'all know, I'm trying to get a kind of a streaming network going on here. But really though, to keep it real, I could only really do one weekly podcast or a weekly stream, and this is it. And I'm not going to F with this one to add another one, but I will add monthly ones, and because we only have to do them once a month, and there's there's really not that much production, even if it is a month. So I started with the Badger Beer Hour, recruited Chris Strasner and Landon Cherney, and now Andy Hoffman. So we have 4 people on that podcast every third Wednesday. If you're a Wisconsin person, beer, we try to bring you the best Wisconsin beer bullshit. ABC and I are not, or we're beyond discussion. We are talking. We are pre-producing a show called Shit the Black People Drink. And we're going to talk about shit the Black people drink. And here's a spoiler alert, Doug. Black people drink everything. But there's a myth that we only drink certain things, whether it be malt liquor or bourbon
or Hennessy
or cognac or all that stuff. So we're going to be doing deep dives once a month into that. I believe our first stream is I wish she was here. We could talk about it, but our first stream, I believe, is going to be we're going to talk about malt liquor. And we're going to talk about how malt liquor was marketed to Black people, specifically almost because I don't know if you knew this, Doug, it was actually marketed to white people, higher end white people, like rich white people, but they didn't take to it. So then the malt liquor people flipped and bought a whole bunch of Black musicians and paid a whole bunch of Black musicians to push malt liquor, whether it be Billy D. Williams, whether it be the Platters, whether it be so one of the first, I'm giving away some of this the first episode, we want to have we're gonna show some of these videos, and ABC and I are gonna comment on the commercials of malt liquor and what we all grew up with, and we're gonna share some malt liquor. My malt liquor jam back in the day was Colt 45 and Colt Ice. I think a little bit of Mickey's. We might actually even get into Mad Dog 2020, which was.
Mine was.
I don't know if I can. I literally don't know if I could drink that shit, Doug. Like I don't know if I could drink it. Like Mad Dog 2020 is great. I've had bad experiences with, and it really induces a vomiting idea in my head when I think about it. Hold on. Now that being said, you guys heard about it. We don't have it for the record. We don't have a date yet. Scheduling purposes, but as soon as we know, we're going to tell you. We're trying for big guests. We're going to have historians. We're going to have people who talk. Listen, ABC and I are going to talk trash on what people think about what Black people think. Yes, but we're also going to bring in intellectual people, tell us what has happened in the past and how that affects the future. So it's not just going to be us opining, which will be fun. There's going to be an educational aspect of it, period, .n. And we're going to go from there, but it's called Shit Black People Think. That's what it's called. That's what it's going to be called. It's going to be fun, and that's it. Now, with that being said, is there an alcohol that induces, and I want to hear the comments, people. Is there an alcohol or beer or beverage that when you think about it, it makes you want to puke? Doug? Because
for a long time,
Mad Dog 2020, great. Period. That's it.
For a long time, it was tequila. Any tequila. For a long time, Greg. I'm talking 25 years. I would smell it and I would just retch. And it was because one night in college, I had a lot of it. And I
Right.
was sick for like 3 fucking days afterwards. And I mean, like, sick, like I could barely get out of bed. And
Wow.
here is a fun fact that I remember being so sick. I went into the bathroom in my dorm. Like, it was a shared bathroom where there was like 8 shower stalls and like 3 shitter stalls, right? So I went into a bathroom stall, and I started throwing up. And I woke up because I heard people fucking in the shower. Because we were in a college dorm. Shit happens. And I was like, okay, that makes me want to throw up again. And then I threw up again. And then I meandered my way back to my room. I had hoped it was my room because I didn't know which way I was going. I was that inebriated. And so we had loft beds. I couldn't crawl up the loft bed. I just curled up on the couch. And I was a fucking mess for like 3 days. And I could barely eat. I could barely keep any water down. And just any tequila at all, just like
Jose Cuervo.
ooh. It didn't matter what tequila, what Greg could have been. It could have been the Don Julio top end. It didn't matter. Any of it made me just want to vomit. So I just stayed away from it.
Yeah, but I'm not even okay. Cool. Normally people hate Jose Cuervo, and I got definitely sick from eating that worm in the bottom of that one. That's where I got. I don't know. Don't do that shit. It's bullshit. Don't ever.
Nope.
Jägermeister. It's pretty bad though, dog. Jägermeister.
That and Rumplemints. Rumplemints was worse.
Rumplemints. Or Rumplemints or Goldschlager. Goldschlager.
I think Rumplemints was worse than Goldschlager, but that's
Rumplemints is worse than Gold. Yeah. Well, for me, it's the peppermint. I'm not down with the peppermint, but Goldschlager has that peppermint angle, though, right? I believe, right? Goldschlager's peppermint.
No, that was more of a fireball element to it, as I recall.
See, Lauren says that she's diversified her portfolio enough not to have a specific problem with one. Well, Lauren, that's you. Listen, Lauren, that's you as a
smart person. Yes.
Right. Well, you're a smarter drinker now. I'm primarily talking about when we were all dumb drinkers back in the day, just slocking shit down. Like you would just go to, you and your friends would roll into a bar and just be like, "Oh, I'm buying around the Jägermeister, yay!" And then you would just throw it back because someone bought it for you. You wouldn't even really. It wasn't like, "Oh, I don't like Jägermeister, I'm not going to do that." Like I'm sure Lauren will do that now. Lauren be like, "I don't like Jägermeister. Give me, give me something else. I will take your free shot." Like that's how I am now. I will take your free shot. I'm not doing it. Right, my lord. Right. I have a mezcal bottle with the worm for my sister, and I want to drink it with people just in case. Don't do the worm, though, Daniel.
Don't do the worm, Daniel. Probably the rest of the mezcal is fine. Just stay away from the worm.
Yeah. Oh, she's aware. She just wasn't picking.
All right. So I'm just going to say that Lauren would be one of the most fun people to have beverages with.
Yes, and we never really did that at Dad too. No, we did. No, we did the last time. I had drinks with Lauren down at the last Dad 2.0 down in the that area there, the little pit area that everybody hung out. We were definitely drinking. Darren was there too. Darren's coming up.
Yeah, but it's different when you're all right, everybody, we're here. We're just gonna fucking drink. Let's get some beverages. It's different when you're in like that sort of here's a conference. We're all gonna have some beverages, but nobody's here to get really hammered, although some people will. Like there's a different vibe to that than just being like, I'm with my homies. Let's go get fucked up. There's a whole different feel to that.
This is true. We're down. We gotta. And it's true, Doug. We should leave the vicinity, leave the area and go to a bar. You know what I mean? Have dinner and just throw down a whole bunch of drinks. Yes. Ooh, I don't know if you saw that 2.0 put out something. Are you guys ready? You guys ready to rock or
Yeah,
not?
for another Dad
most
2.0.
right, and most people said no, or most people said hesitant.
That was me. I said hesitant. I'm like, hey,
No,
listen, I'm down if people were fucking vaccinated and not fucking. And even so, if I'm there, unless I'm in a space where I can be, I'm going to mask because I don't know.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Dead Nazi. I'm not drinking that shit because I don't want to be a Nazi.
Yeah, but a dead one's better than a live one.
True.
Lawrence down. Here's a theme: taste lesser known beverages live.
Ooh.
Here we go.
Daniel, I like how you think.
Yes, we love how Daniel thinks. And back to DC for Jackpot. Jackpot's a craft beer bar that's in the basement, Doug. And it is like old school. It's a literal basement. And it's like your
Like a
grandmother's
speakeasy?
basement. Yeah, no, not really. It's like your grandmother's basement, which is like unfinished. And you see like cement on the walls.
So it's like the
and
Chip and Joanna Gaines house before they install 50 fucking meters of fucking shiplap.
Someone else will get that reference, hopefully.
God damn it. I fucking hate Chip and Joanna Gaines, so fuck them and their shiplap nonsense. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Manny's down and he doesn't even know what the hell we're talking about.
Hey, you know what, Manny? We'll have a bar for booze and we'll have a bar for cereal. You'll be all set.
Watch him eat cereal on OnlyFans. Only if you're in your underwear, Manny. You need to eat cereal.
No. He needs to be in that robe, the smoking jacket, or whatever the fuck he was in. And
right. In his underwear. Right.
Yeah.
Listen, I saw fucking My Pillow guy in his underwear this week. So I can see Manny in his underwear. Very, very fine. It'll be fine. It's cool. Like, after seeing the My Pillow dude in his underwear, I mean, where else does it go from there, dog? It doesn't go anywhere further. Right.
No idea, because holy shit, that was fucking nuts.
Look at that. Done and done. Excellent. Send that OnlyFans over. We'll promote that shit. Hell, we should put it on our Patreon once I get it out there, Doug. That's what we should do.
Yes.
We'll have right. We call that Sundays here, Doug. All right, Doug. So we have exhausted everything. We are pretty much done for the time. I love y'all. I love y'all. We had great people watching for Jeff. And when Jeff left, we had more people come in. I don't know why. I don't know how to explain it.
Just timing.
I guess something. Because Jeff was the prize of the show. I don't know what you call me and Doug, but that something. Y'all rock, and we just want to say it again.
Yeah, and we've had a big week. So Jeff was a big guest for Greg. Chuck Wendig Wednesday was a giant guest for me. And just thank you all for just jumping in and commenting and just having a good time with us, because we don't do this for money. We do this for fun. And just you guys jumping in and giving us your opinions and joking with us, that's what makes it all fucking worth it. Seriously, that was great. So thank you. Greg, tell us what you drank, and then
Doug,
I'll tell you what I did too.
I'm sending you one of these too. I gotta figure out the package I'm gonna send you. And I owe Daniel Fisher thing. I owe Daniel Fisher something too. This is I didn't talk about it because Jeff was here, but this is a ginger peach beer from your boys again,
Adventure, baby.
The ginger overpowers the peach, but I love ginger. I love ginger snaps. Like, ginger snaps are my shit, Doug. Like, if I get a box of them and no one like stops me, that box could be done in a couple hours. It's one of those things that like it's just so. The ginger in this is really nice. I like it. It may be offensive to some people though if you don't like ginger. It's very assertive. But I love it. It makes it snappy, and there's a little bit of a sour end to this with the peach. Fantastic. But I had 2 venture beers today. I've had this one before in the show. But the winner today was this Belgian IPA from Youngblood. I need more Belgian IPAs in my life. They're actually, the way they're making them now, they're making them less Belgian-y and less IPA, and like it just seems like they're making them more sessionable, and that kind of feel throughout that whole style is just fantastic. And then they're releasing them in the summer, so they become lawnmower beers and shower beers. And I don't know, Jeff didn't say it, but apparently he said this is a bathroom book, not a shower book apparently, but a bathroom book. I guess I see it more as a coffee table book, but grab one. Put Beer Vana in any of your comments if you want to win one. But yeah, Doug, great week. It's gonna be good to kind of go back to normal next week if that matters. It's great having big guests, but also there's expectations with that, in my opinion, and I just wanted to be a good guest. So it was great for me to get out of my box with Chuck. It's good for you to get out of your box with Jeff, and that's just great. And so next week we have this crazy guy on. It's always a hoot when he's around. He's hilarious. If you haven't met Stubbs, you're about to.
And you're gonna love him because he's funny as fuck.
The quick story on how I met him was at the Beer Bloggers Conference. It was 9 a.m. in the morning. This man, we're waiting to get into the first event. I'm behind this man that's holding a gnome. We end up sitting next to each other, and he slides me a fucking like a pour of bourbon at 9, like 10 in the morning, 10 in the morning or something like that. I was like, oh, this is how we're starting, is with bourbon at 9 in the morning. So that's the kind of guy Stubbs is. Fantastic, great, knowledgeable on many planes. Can't wait to do it next week. You got some party shots and words for us, buddy?
I'm going to go over my beers super quick. So while this was a great name, interesting can, Grumpy Wench, okay, hazy IPA. All right. The Cascade that I had, the second, that was from 2017. Smelled and awesome. Had, you would love this, Greg. It was
Cascade's awesome, right?
Yeah, and it was like a sour, and it smelled and had the initial taste of a sour, but didn't just be like, I'm gonna ruin your stomach, which for me is what like sours do. So that was good. But honestly, the Rare Voss, it just never fucking fails. That thing is just perfectly good. Amber ale, coriander, orange peel. Folks, if you can't get this, please message me. It is great.
Barrel aged?
No, this is just an amber ale. It is 6.5 ABV. It's a low ABV. It's super good drinker. Yeah, man. I'm gonna tell you, anybody in this crowd can't find it, let me know. I'll be happy to send you some in exchange for some goodies from your side, of course.
Wow, that's saying a lot because not many people can get on. Yeah, we are all members of the Oma Gang, right?
The Oma Gang makes great shit. So yeah.
Right, huge week for real. Love you guys hustling for the collective enjoyment of all. Cheers, Daniel.
Cheers, Daniel. Thank you for that.
Cheers. JC. See you soon. Within a month, it's coming up, bro. You're on the landscape here. So, yep. Next week we have Stubbs, and we will see y'all then.
Yeah. Love you guys. Take care.
Cheers.